guys, I've got a cool video for you today on two different tile saws. We've got a 7-inch Beast tile saw here and an 8-inch Ridgid tile saw as well. Now a lot of people want a saw that's in between a tabletop tile saw and a 10-inch wet tile saw, and this is it right here. They're not as big and heavy as a 10-inch wet tile saw. They're a lot smaller, they're easier to maneuver and to carry to your job site. And they're not as expensive as a full-size 10-inch wet tile saw. But they do cut a lot more than a tabletop tile saw. So it's right in between. What we're gonna do is pretty simple. We're looking to add another tile saw to our tool arsenal. So we're gonna assemble these saws, we're gonna test them, we're gonna review them, and we're gonna tell you the pros and cons of each tile saw. Now let's show you what we're gonna cut here. What we'll do is rip a porcelain plank. This is a 3-foot porcelain plank. We'll cut some large format porcelain here, 12 by 24s. We'll try the diagonal cuts with these 18 by 18 inch porcelain tile, and we'll also cut some marble scrap here. All right guys, we'll first start with the Beast. We'll assemble the Beast 7-inch wet saw and the Beast gravity stand. All right, we got both saws assembled here. The Ridgid took about 20 minutes to assemble. The Beast took about 30 minutes to assemble. The gravity stand for the Beast, I could have assembled 5 Beast saws in the time it took me to assemble this gravity stand, but I think it's gonna be well worth it. We'll do a comparison video on these saws. Let's just show you what these things look like. Here's the Beast. As you can see, the Beast with this gravity stand sits a little lower than the Ridgid. We've got a nice big tray, a couple trays over here to contain the water. Right off the bat, the Beast feels like a bit of better quality than the Ridgid over here. Just a little bit better of a build. We've got these cool sprayers, allows you to move them around if you want to spray the tray off. If you got some thin set, you want to get that off and down into the bottom of the tray, you can do that. So the pump, I noticed right off the bat, the pump on the Beast is almost twice the size as the pump for the Ridgid. I have a feeling that this saw is going to give a lot more spray on the blade with water compared to the Ridgid, but we'll find out once we fill these guys up and turn them on. Now the Beast comes with a nice 7-inch porcelain Beast blade. As you can see there, it's got this thick arbor. This blade appears to be better quality than the Ridgid's 8-inch blade. So it's got two things going for it right now. One, it looks like it's gonna have a better sprayer. Two, the blade is better. Keep in mind, this is much more expensive than the Ridgid. We'll go over that in just a second. Here's the gravity stand. This thing is amazing. I mean, a work of genius right here. We'll show you how that works. It does everything a full-size tile saw should do. It's got the chop mechanism here for plunge cuts. It also miter at 45 and 22. And that's pretty much it. Comes with a fence here for diagonal cuts. It's a good looking saw. Little valve here to shut off your water. That's good to have. And that's pretty much it for the Beast. Let's take a look at the Ridgid. Now, I chose the Ridgid 8-inch over the 7-inch. This appears to be much more popular. Reviews are better. Right now, I believe these must be for a 7 to 8-inch tile saw. The best reviewed, the most popular on the market right now. Let's take a look at Ridgid's blade here. You've got your standard diamond edge all-purpose cutting wheel. Here's your tray. Got some containment for overspray here to contain the water. You've got your fence as well for diagonal cuts. It does the same thing. You've got a plunge cut option here. It also miters at 45 and 22.5. On and off button. One cool feature about this saw, you have a foam filter here to protect the pump. Again, this pump is much smaller than the pump in the Beast, so I'm curious to see how much spray that pump provides on this blade. All right guys, let's show you how you maneuver and move these saws from one location to the other. You've got a gravity stand here. That thing's amazing. You've got wheels on the tray, which is connected to the body, so we'll show you how to move this around as well. Here we go. This is how you move the Ridgid from point A to point B. Pull the tray off. Lift the saw off the stand. And again, this is a fairly light tile saw compared to a full-size 10-inch saw. And there you go. Hold the stand. You've got a handle, you've got wheels. You tote and pull this Ridgid saw from point A to point B. Now this is how you move the Beast saw from point A to point B with the gravity stand. Grab your handles, unlock it, and lift. Tilt it down, and there you go. This thing is very light. Much lighter than our Dewalt 10-inch saw, even with this bulky gravity stand, but man, look at that. This is how you move the Beast, the 7-inch from point A to point B. All right guys, let's fill these saws up with water and custom tile. All right, we'll start with the Beast. We're gonna cut a 12-inch by 24-inch porcelain tile. Here we go. That's a very, very clean cut. Let's try Ridgid, 12 by 24, hard porcelain. A clean cut as well. Now right off the bat, guys, the Beast has a much better pump. It sprays much more water all around the blade than the Ridgid. Now also keep in mind, this is not a sponsored video. I bought these two saws with my own money. We plan to keep one of the two, but so far the pump works better on the Beast and it cuts a little cleaner, probably because of the Beast porcelain blade. We'll cut some marble. Saw cuts marble like warm butter. Now marble on the Ridgid. Also cuts marble like warm butter. Now we'll rip a 3-foot porcelain plank. Clean rip as well, hard porcelain. Now for the Ridgid. a clean cut for the Ridgid as well. All right, guys, let's miter some porcelain, see how well these saws miter cut hard tile. First, we'll miter with the beast. Upside down, and we're gonna cut right below the glaze. Adjust the sprayers for the miter cut. Here we go. Would you look at that? Great, clean miter cut on the beast. Let's try to miter with the Ridgid. Now that was an okay miter cut. As you can see, a little less glaze here than at the end. And that's solely because of the blade. A better blade installed on this, like a P4 or a Beast blade, it would have given you a cleaner miter cut. So the Beast wins on miter cuts. Well, there you guys go. They're both good saws. I'll go over some pros and some cons. The pros of this saw: the motor feels a little stronger than the Ridgid. The sprayer and pump are much more superior than the Ridgid's sprayer and pump. I mean, you have a lot of water coverage. I'm sure you saw that in the video. Gosh, the stand, the gravity stand, that's amazing. If you're working by yourself and you're moving this saw around, it's super easy to move the saw around. It has a plug to drain the tray, and it's very light. Much lighter than a full-size 10-inch tile saw. One guy can handle this, no problems at all. Now the cons are the tray has a little more play than the Ridgid. 2, it's very pricey compared to the Ridgid. We'll go over that. This runs about $750 compared to $450, and that's with a standard stand. And also, as you can see, without having a tray back here, it gets a little messy compared to the Ridgid. Now the Ridgid over here, the pros are its price point. I mean, 450 bucks, you get a saw, a stand, and a blade. Now keep in mind, the blade over here on this beast is much better than the Ridgid blade. I can see that in the cuts. It cut cleaner. It also mitered cut better. The pros are it's a little cleaner, less water on the ground than the beast. It's lightweight. It has wheels and a handle. Now the cons are, again, the blade is weak. 2, it doesn't have a rubber stopper to drain this water. You have to detach the frame and motor, pull everything off, and dump this yourself. The sprayer and pump is fairly weak. You don't get too much water on that blade, and what that means is you'll go through blades a little quicker than you would with the beast. All in all, I mean, I don't know. You're looking at a $750 tile saw and a $450 tile saw. They're pretty comparable. I'm gonna have to sleep on this one. There you guys have it. These are both really good saws. For the beast, you really get what you pay for. Great pump, great blade, great motor, very clean cuts. With the Ridgid, you get your bang for the buck. It really all comes down to price, really. This runs $450 for everything. Saw, stand, blade. This runs $750 with a standard stand and a little over $800 for this gravity stand, which is definitely worth it. It all comes down to how much you want to pay. I would say this is more guided towards DIYers and contractors, and this is more suited for contractors. I don't know. I'm leaning towards the beast. It's a beast. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button below.